Why are we talking about capital gains today? Because right now, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation is taking the Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA, they're taking them to court and they're suing them because they are trying to charge those taxes, additional taxes on Canadians, even though it did not get approved through the proper chains of our Parliament.
The federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And today we're here with a simple message for the government. No taxation without representation. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation is taking the Canada Revenue Agency to court for enforcing the undemocratic and illegal capital gains tax hike. The capital gains tax hike blows a hole through a fundamental principle of Canada's democracy while also blowing a hole in Canada's economy. No taxation without representation isn't just an important principle or a catchy slogan. It's enshrined in the Constitution of Canada. It's Parliament's job to approve tax increases, but the government failed to introduce the legislation, debate the legislation, pass the legislation, or proclaim the legislation into law. And with an election right around the corner, it likely never will. Yet unelected bureaucrats at the CRA are taking billions of dollars from Canadians with this undemocratic tax hike. This is a tax hike that will drag down our economy.
They are suing them on the basis that proper procedure was not followed through by the Liberal government. As a result, they are saying that this is illegal for the CRA to charge you and charge me capital gains at this higher tax rate that has not gone through the proper procedure. The Government of Canada on their website has actually said this: although these proposed changes are subject to parliamentary approval, consistent with standard practice, the CRA is administering the changes to the capital gains inclusion rate effective June 25th, 2024, based on the proposals included in NWMM tabled September 23rd, 2024. So, according to the Government of Canada, they are going to go ahead and administer these changes even though they have not met all of the approvals that are required by the process by which taxes come into effect. And then what are they going to do if it doesn't get approval? Are they going to turn around and figure out how to give you your money back? Meanwhile, they're spending money the entire time through. They're taking money from you, even though they're not legally allowed to. And then they're going to give you your money back and tell you should be thankful that they're giving you that money back if it does not go through. Meanwhile, why haven't they just gone ahead and approved it? Well, you and I know that currently there is no parliament. It's been prorogued by Justin Trudeau. He has gone in and he has prorogued the entire parliament so they can't sit and talk about House business. And as a result, the CRA is just moving forward as if it got approved, and they're going to be taking money from you, your pocket, and you're going to have to deal with the difficulties of that. All right, so let's just talk to my investors here for a second. If you're an investor and you're thinking of selling a property, we're going to get in that in a second. If you're someone who's already sold a property, you're going to have to wait and see what the government does. We're going to have to see with regards to the prorogue. We're going to have to see with regards to who gets into power. You're just going to have to wait for all of those things. Now, if you're an investor who's considering selling your property, you may want to consider, why don't I hold off until we see what comes from this process so that they don't take the money? Now, if you're in a situation where you have to sell, obviously you're going to have to sell. But as investors, we are able to strategize. And one of the things we know is that the opposition leader has talked about lowering taxes once they're in power, which means that potentially if you sell next year, you might have to pay less taxes on selling that property. We don't know that for a fact, but strategically thinking, you might want to hold on for at least another year to get a sense of what the new government is planning on doing. Again, if you're cash-strapped and you've got to do what you've got to do, then go ahead. You already have got your own advice. But if you're an investor and you're trying to decide, maybe this is not the year until we get a clearer idea of what is happening in this regards with taxation. Gee, guys, how have we gotten to a place in this country where we have to sue our own government because they are putting us in this position where they're going to take money from you, whether you like it or not, whether they even have their own approvals, or whether you care about that or not, they're just going to go ahead. I don't know how we've gotten here, but somehow there is a great amount of distrust in the government. Well, gosh darn it, guys, we're just going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to do your best. Let's see what comes of all of this. We're going to see whether this lawsuit goes through, whether they're able to, or whether this all gets resolved on its own before that time occurs. In the meantime, guys, keep moving forward, keep on investing, and we'll see you soon on the next episode of the Four Horsemen of Real Estate.
Around, trusting their word, they walk the talk in the world of investment, they make their mark.